I think I'm live. Let me know if you guys can hear me. And I'm going to start some background music. The same music we always listen to. So that's one of the few things that I can play on stream. How's it going, everyone? Slightly earlier stream today, since I am off today. Memorial Day in the United States. So most people have today off, which is pretty cool. Such a good thumbnail. Thank you, Marble Sphere. I really like drawing the, what did I used the Enterprise, right? I really liked it. That was one of my favorite drawings. How was everybody's weekend? Profile picture drawings? Maybe I'll do some profile picture drawings today, actually. That's probably a good idea. We'll do a couple of things, and then I do have an idea for the next episode of Polandball News. I need to draw something. I've got an idea for that. Yoda stuff, how's it going? Geography Nerd, Jose Hernandez, ASJW Federation, Haiti Federation, King Emoticon, Red Halo, Sphinxin, Youngblood, Marble Sphere, Lana, Conrad, a bunch of people. Godzilla, how's it going? Lana, your weekend ended on Sunday? Yeah, in the US it's a long weekend, so we had a 3-day weekend. Today is Memorial Day in the United States, so I had today off. So I slept in and worked out earlier this afternoon, and we put out a short that we're gonna watch together. And I guess Aaron remade the assets of an old comic that he had posted maybe about a year ago, and we put that together in like 30 minutes, released it, and that short is actually blowing up. We're super happy with it. I think that's one of my favorite shorts that we've done. Shorts are really fun. You know, I didn't understand TikTok. I still don't have TikTok. I'll probably never download it. But I can understand the appeal of short-form content now. It's really good for, I think, for comics and, you know, just very quick jokes. But let's watch it together. Since we put out a couple since I think the last time I streamed. Let's go to shorts. What do we got? Okay. So the gang gets back together. This is based on an Aaron comic from a little over a year ago. You don't really like the TikTok scheme? You don't know why? Yeah, I mean, that's totally fair. Let's watch it together. It's great to finally have you at this meeting of our Grand Military Alliance. Welcome, J-Pan. There's just this funny feeling I can't shake. I just don't know what it is. I just can't quite put my finger on it. It's great to finally have... This is a good, solid joke. I was looking... Occasionally I'll look through like the old posts that Dick Rhino, myself, or Aaron have posted over the past decade in r/Polandball to see like what could be converted into a short. And Aaron, I saw this, scrolled back, it's a little over a year old. I saw this in Aaron's sister. I was like, this would make a great short. So we remade it into a short. There's some comics I think that work really well as shorts and some that don't necessarily work well as shorts. This one I think benefits from being a short more than most comics. Oh, whoops! I have DaVinci still open, and then after stream today, I'm going to work on another one. So my favorite part of this is actually the last panel. Have you at this meeting of our Grand Military Alliance? Welcome, J-Pan. There's just this funny feeling I can't shake. I just don't know what it is. I just can't quite put my finger on it. I love these last two panels where Italy, Japan, and Germany, they all change their expression, but the US just doesn't change its expression at all. It makes it so good. This is a great comic. So kudos to Aaron. I had a similar idea for a comic, but I never made it. But yeah, this one's blowing up. This is our best performing, I think, short. At least for the... We posted it just over 2 hours ago. It already has 3,000 views. AHW, this is your favorite comic? Right on. Haiti Federation, sorry you need to go to bed. Have a great night. Sleep well. Hope to see you in a future stream. Don't forget to like the stream before you guys leave. Really appreciate it. Have I seen the yellow sign? What do you mean? Have I been practicing Loomis and Bridgeman? I have not, Sam. I need to do that. I've just been doing shorts like all weekend. Has someone said something about Poland in the comment section yet? Someone asked in one of the other shorts that we posted, and I responded to them earlier today. NATO Plus sounds like Bricks Plus. I was trying to go for like Disney Plus, you know? Paramount Plus. The yellow sign is a reference to the King in Yellow. I don't know what that is. What is the King in Yellow? A book of short stories by American writer Robert W. Chambers. Contains 9 short stories and a sequence of poems. While the first stories belong to the genres of supernatural horror and weird fiction, The King in Yellow progressively transitions toward a more light-hearted tone, ending with romantic stories devoid of horror or supernatural elements. Interesting. It was an influence on Lovecraft. Very cool. You put it Finland. So interestingly enough, our next short for tomorrow is going to be about Finland. So keep your eyes peeled for tomorrow. Here, let's look at the next short that we put out this weekend.
Alright, you really do need this job. No need to fret, they most certainly want you. You can do this.
Ah! So you come crawling back, you cheap sack of shit.
So I made this on Saturday night, I think. This actually took a while to make, and I had to get a lot of different like royalty-free sounds to do like the buzzing sound of the neon lights and then the background office animation. I thought this was good, yeah. And then if you guys don't know, the dialogue is from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Danny DeVito's character, Frank Reynolds. Yeah, this is great. I love this. Here, we'll take a look at the resume.
Alright, you really do need this job. No need to fret, they most certainly want you. You can do this.
Alright, so I spent a little bit of time on the resume, so we need to let's take a look at it. So, United Kingdom. In the top right, I put a little lion. You know, lion's representative of the United Kingdom. And it says, God save me, instead of God save the king or God save the queen. Education. Oxford and Cambridge, probably. A long time ago. I think Oxford and Cambridge are among the oldest universities in the world. Certainly in Europe. They're like 1,000 years old. Machalik 1020, welcome. Exotic, how's it going? Experience. I put NATO, 1949 to present. EU member, 1973 to 2021. And Empire, about 1500 to 1997. This technically isn't right. The United Kingdom wasn't formed until, I think, 1801. The United Kingdom of Great Britain formed in 1801 with the Union of... Was it 1801? No, it was a little bit earlier, sorry. 1801 was when the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Ireland came into existence, right? United Kingdom was 17-something. It was 1708 or something? 1707. 1707 was when the Kingdom of England and the Kingdom of Scotland united under the Treaty of Union and created the Kingdom of Great Britain. And then in 1801, that's when it became the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Ireland. I believe it's 1801. And that lasted until, I want to say, 1922, when the Republic of Ireland became an independent state. So... For Empire, I put about 1500s because that's when England started party rocking pretty hard and colonizing Scotland, Wales, and Ireland, right? Conquering and colonizing. Lana, do I know the Polandball YouTuber NerdBTN? He mentioned me in one of his shorts. I don't know. No, who is that? NerdBTN. Did he mention one of my comics? Taking a look at like his thumbnails. History of Country Balls. There's a lot of, if I'm going to be honest with you guys, there's a lot of country ball content on YouTube, but there's not a lot of quality control. And I feel like at least for comics and like jokes, I think we're cut above the rest. And just like the growth that we've seen with our shorts, I think is indicative of that. He's Algerian. Yeah, I've not heard of him, but there's a lot of country ball content out there. I'm not familiar with most of them. I think a carrier ball is probably one of the best. Leaf Scout, thanks for joining. Brief as it may have been. Remember to drop a like on the chat, or sorry, on the stream. Appreciate it. And then so I put other. I put Veteran of War, all of them in parentheses, then Sailor and Nukes. This was fun. Some shorts you see about Polandball are just geopolitical propaganda. Yeah, I see a lot of that too. A lot of shorts are basically just like... There's unfortunately like a lot of wearaboos in the country ball community on YouTube where it's just like Germany somehow conquering Europe again. It's like, come on. So this is fun. This is a way that you can draw a cute character. Radioactive Potato, how's it going? Since you're limited in what you can sort of do with facial expressions and eyes in Polandball, this is a way where you can make the eyes look very cute. You can make it mostly black and then use white to show sort of the reflection. These are like puppy dog eyes, and then you can do the blushing with pink. Puppy dog eyes always works in interviews.
Ah, so you come crawling back, you cheap sack of shit.
This was fun. Youngblood, have I ever seen Mornek? He's on YouTube. He has the highest quality pull and ball videos you've seen on YouTube. You love his Europe video. Welcome to Europe video. Mornek. Let me see. Is it Mornek or Mormek? But we're going to experiment with new content. We're working on a PNN right now. And we want to put out some more content. I know Chicken Scuttle Monkey and Gate Nerd are both working on video essays at the moment. I was thinking of doing like I want to do like a new intro video for the channel. Because I think the channel has matured quite a bit since we first put out the initial video explaining what the channel was. It's been about 7 months since we started the channel. Moore's Neck. I'll take a look at his stuff. This looks good. Our continent is called Europe. Yeah, we have Alpaca is learning how to use Blender so that we can have more high quality like 3D animations. Two days into Belgium and chauffeur shorts are your favorite?
I'm 2 days into Belgium, building my defensive line. There's this guy, let's call him Britain, says to move back past the Rhine. But it doesn't really sit with me quite right, cause I just can't match his naval might. I just keep thoughtlessly throwing soldiers at the French lines in the middle of the night.
I think this one will eventually get picked up. The algorithm, I think, will reward this one. This was, up until the one we posted today, this was our best performing one, second best performing one in like the first couple of hours. This just like blew past everything else on the metric except for the every cowboy has a hat one. That one just blew up immediately when we posted it. I don't know why. But the YouTube algorithm for shorts is like, there's no rhyme or reason to it. So it's basically just like put out good content and people will see it, you know? Maddie showed up on your shorts. Nice. Yeah, CSM saying this. I record myself singing it, and I cannot carry a tune to save my life. CSM does all the music on the channel. He's part of his own band as well. So, you know, it's convenient that we have somebody who's musically talented. But we'll probably make a full-length version of this once, hopefully it gets picked up by the algorithm again. The channel's growing slowly, but is growing, keep going. It's growing a lot faster since we started putting out these shorts. The past 2 weeks, we've gotten like 600 or 700 new subs. But so one of my ideas for making more long form content, one, I want to do what I mentioned earlier. I want to do like an intro video again to sort of explain what we're doing, what the channel is about. You know, since we do live streams, we do shorts, we do long form content, we do PNN, and then I want to do videos of like, they'd be humorous, but they sort of be like 2 to 5 minute long videos, sort of explaining certain things, right? Like one that I want to do is like explaining what the European Union is to people. And it would be funny, of course. We throw in jokes there. But it would be sort of not just like, we don't want to be just a channel that's just comics in video form, right? Like I think that's probably going to be the bread and butter of our shorts, sort of comics and animations. But yeah, Brain for Breakfast style videos, sort of like short form video essays. So 2 to 5 minute video essays, and we try and make them funny. You keep seeing more and more just to get views. Every time we put out a new video, I watch like our old ones too. We're building up a catalog of content, and then when people discover our channel, you can see that they, like I can see in YouTube Studio, I go back and I can see that new people are commenting on our old shorts. It's really cool. So we're super happy with the growth that we've had so far. It's really exciting to sort of share this kind of content with people. You enjoyed the news video? You saw it a while ago while you were drawing a comic? Right on. Yeah, those take a lot of time. Unfortunately, that's the big problem with any kind of art channel like ours, is most of the content has to be drawn by hand, and that's very time consuming. Whereas a lot of channels that have, it's just like a person staring into a camera, it's a lot easier to put out content like that because all you have to do is press record. We have to draw individual panels, and we have to have panel changes, right? We don't want you to just see the same panel for a minute straight. So, I had an idea for what I want to do today. I'm going to draw, for the next PNN, I don't know if you guys saw this story, but there's a, let me pull it up. Six NATO nations have agreed to build a drone wall along their borders to defend themselves against Russian threats. So let's see which countries there are. 6 NATO nations have agreed to build a drone wall along their borders to defend themselves against Russian threats. Norway, Poland, and Finland will work with the 3 Baltic states, Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania, to prevent Russian aggression, including forcing migrants across the border. This is a completely new thing. A drone border from Norway to Poland. Agne Bilotate, Lithuania's interior minister, told broadcaster Baltic News Service. This will allow us to protect ourselves from provocations by unfriendly countries. So I have an idea of drawing a, I can bring up mini coli. I have an idea of drawing just a bunch of like little NATO Terminator drones, and then like the Baltic states, Poland, Norway, and Finland in the background. So we'll draw that tonight. And then maybe we can do like a tier list or something real quick, because those are fun. Drone Wall. This is literally the Ace Combat 7 campaign. I've never played the Ace Combat games. Let's see if I can get my mini coli on stream. Guess I'll tell. Manny, how's it going, guys? Manny, do I watch Task and Purpose on YouTube? I did until I heard from some other like more credible like military and defense policy type YouTubers that his channel is not the most informative. He was sort of just like a grunt, I think, in the Marines or in the Army or something. I think it's sort of like good entry-level content for anyone who's like interested in defense policy and whatever. But I watch Perun. Perun, I think, is my favorite defense policy-oriented channel. Perun is great. If you guys are at all interested in like defense industrial economics, let me know if you guys can see my little avatar. He's moving across the stream. There he is. Perun is great. All right, what kind of tier list should we do? Do a tier list of factions within the Fallout universe? So that's the problem is, like, I can't... I've done one tier list on a subject that I know nothing about. And it was Sri Lankan biscuits. And I had to judge it based entirely on the images. Alucia, you're in Australia, you're going to miss the stream. No worries, man. Hope you enjoy Australia. African tier list? Oh, okay. We can do African country tier list. Or African flag tier list. Jet fighter tier list? Ooh, okay, no. Yeah, I want to do that. You're speaking my language. Is there like a jet fighter tier list? ...1960 to 2023 military fighter jet tier list. Okay, you guys are going to have to help me out with this, because I don't recognize all of these. Alright. Let's do this. This will be fun. Remember to like the stream if you haven't done so already. Really appreciate it. Alright, so we have... We need to make S tier. S tier is top tier, right? How do I add tier again? Add row above. S tier. Alright. This is gonna be based on what I like about the planes. You know? Yeah, I'm gonna rate them on my sort of my perspective, like what I like about the plane. Not necessarily performance characteristics or anything like that, you know? First, I'm gonna go F-22, easy S tier. This is the easiest S tier that's gonna be on this list. Easy. The F-22 is a UFO. This is the closest thing to a spaceship that any jet aircraft has ever come to being. It is an absolutely gorgeous plane, and it is still the king of the skies. It's showing its age, but still nothing can match it technologically. Well, the F-35 can. Like, it's got a whole sensor suite. But in terms of air superiority, nothing holds a candle to the F-22. It's not, like, completely unchallenged anymore. Like, the J-20 is a pretty decent aircraft as far as we understand. But the F-22 is still the top dog in the skies. F-22 is it's a beautiful plane too. Like, I went skiing once, maybe 2 or 3 years ago. I went skiing in Colorado, and I got off the chairlift, the ski lift, and right at the top, right as I was getting off, an F-22 flew right above the peak and did like this, like a hard bank left or whatever, right? So he was turned 180 degrees or whatever, or 90 degrees, so we could see the entire like top part of the plane as he was doing this turn. It was so cool. It was loud as hell. Such a badass plane. Absolutely love the F-22. What else have we got here? F-35 is an easy S tier. Now, for different reasons. The F-35 exists in higher quantity than the F-22. It's not an air superiority platform. It's a multi-role fighter. But it's one of the few truly 5th generation stealth aircraft. It's not as stealthy as the F-22, but it has a more advanced sensor suite, and it's basically, it's like basically a supercomputer in the skies. It's a really cool plane. However, I think I'm putting it below the F-22 because the F-35 I think is an ugly plane. I said it. I don't think it's a very aesthetically pleasing plane. It's short, it's fat, it's squat. I don't like it. But it's a cool plane, it's very capable, and it exists in very high quantities. I think there's over 1,000 F-35s have been built for various different air forces, navies, and Marine Corps across the world. It comes in 3 different variants. There's the F-35A, B, and C. The F-35A is the one that's meant for most air forces. It's a ground-based plane. The F-35B is meant for the Marines and for the Royal Navy, where it has to, it can take off vertically and it can land vertically, but it's meant primarily to take off on a ski jump, like on the Queen Elizabeth class aircraft carriers of the Royal Navy. There's the Queen Elizabeth II and the Prince of Wales. They have ski jumps, and they're larger than the F-35, or sorry, no, it's not larger than the F-35A. Maybe it is. It has a shorter range because the engine is more advanced, because it has to, the exhaust has to be able to rotate basically 90 degrees. So whenever you see videos of the F-35 taking off of like the British carriers, you'll see that the jet engine like comes down a bit to help it gain lift as it's going off the ski jump. It also operates off of the 10 amphibious assault craft. What are they called? Amphibious assault ships that the U.S. Marines operate, or sorry, that the U.S. Navy, U.S. operates, but they're primarily for the Marine Corps. So the U.S. Marines operate some F-35s off of those ships in the Navy. And then there's the F-35C, which is a larger version because it has a larger wingspan, needs more area to generate more lift because that's the carrier-based variant. And I think there's only a couple, maybe one or two F-35C air groups. So not every U.S. carrier has F-35s on it yet. All right, what have we got next? Let's do the J-20. J-20 I think is A tier. The J-20 is China's first stealth fighter. It's their first fifth generation fighter. It's also the first actual like fifth generation plane that wasn't, or fifth generation fighter that wasn't American or multinational, right? I think it's a gorgeous plane. I really like it, but from everything we understand, its cross section, its radar cross section, is not quite as small as the F-22 or the F-35. Yeah, exactly. Canards are kind of bad for stealth. Exactly. Especially, but it doesn't matter as much when the radar waves are hitting it head on. But from other angles, yeah, canards don't help with your radar cross section. You don't know what any of this means, but you roll with it. Get into defense YouTube. Defense YouTube is super interesting. But I think the J-20 Mighty Dragon is a gorgeous plane. I think it's beautiful. It's huge though. It's like 30 or 40% larger than the F-22. It's really big. But they exist in pretty large quantity. There's like 200, 250 plus have been made. All right. I think this is the Su-24 or Su-25 Frogfoot. This is a Soviet-era aircraft. It's like a ground attack aircraft. A lot of them have been shot down in the war in Ukraine on both sides. It's a super ugly plane. I'm going to put it in E tier. I don't like it. Let's make this F tier. I'm sure it's a perfectly capable and cheap ground attack platform, though. School doesn't teach about fighter jets. That's why I'm here. This is all second or third hand information. I'm probably going to say things that aren't right because I don't actually know anything about these. It's just I watch videos about planes on YouTube. Su-57, I'm going to put it in B tier. The Su-57 is Russia's first attempt at creating a 5th generation stealth fighter. It's not really stealthy though, so a lot of people sort of consider it more of a generation, a 4.5 plus generation. But you know, it's certainly more stealthy than anything else Russia has ever made. Will there be a quiz after this? There should be. It's not a super capable plane, and it doesn't really exist in enough numbers to actually matter. Something like, they've made maybe 20 total, and half of those are like demonstrators or prototypes. So these are basically useless. But I think it's a very pretty plane. I think the Su-57 is a pretty cool plane, just aesthetically. What else have we got here? This is the Tornado, I think. I think the Tornado is a C tier. Let me double check. This is an old plane. The Panavia Tornado. Yeah, it's first flight 1974. Mostly used by Italy, the United Kingdom, and Germany. It's a multi-role, variable sweep wing combat aircraft. It's old, it's outdated, it's kind of ugly, but for all intents and purposes, it was a pretty decent plane. I'm not a huge fan of it. I think it's kind of ugly, but it's kind of mid, so I put it C tier. F4 Phantom. I don't like the F4 Phantom. I'm going to put it in D tier. The F4 Phantom is most famously known for being used in the Vietnam War. It was a carrier-based aircraft for the United States. It's ugly. It was pretty fast, as far as I'm aware. But I think early versions didn't have a machine gun on it, Is that right? So they would fire off their pretty crappy like heat-seeking missiles, and then they'd sort of be dead in the water. They'd have to just return. So I think the U.S. Like kill ratio in the Vietnam War was like 3-to-1 or something, which was pretty low considering the technological advantage the U.S. had. And I think that led to the creation of Top Gun, the Top Gun school for the U.S. Navy. What else we got here? This is the Dassault Rafale. I love the Rafale. I think this is an S-tier plane. Is there a Polandball Discord? Where do I join? Absolutely there's a Polandball Discord. Let me give it to you. I will put it in chat. But yes, we have a Discord. We use it to organize community events and to share our videos and stuff with you guys and just to chat in general. It's pretty active. Yeah, the Rafale I think is a gorgeous plane. It's a French plane. I think it first flew in like 2001 or something. It's a carrier-based plane as well. So they fly this off of the Charles de Gaulle aircraft carrier. I think it's a gorgeous plane. I know we mentioned canards are not good for your radar cross-section, which is true. They make your aircraft less stealthy. But I do think canards look cool. You can quote me on that. I think canards are cool. And I think the Rafale is just a gorgeous plane. I think this is the F-18, right? This is the Swiss F-18? Let me see if there's another F-18 here. This is, I guess, the Swiss F-18. No, this is... What is it? This is the F-5? F-5, right? Yeah, this is the F-5. It's used by... Is it still used by the U.S. Navy? This is an old plane. It's been produced since 1959. Yeah, this is the F-5. It's an old plane, but it's kind of pretty plane. It's very outdated, but I think it's kind of pretty. So I'll put it in C tier above the Tornado. This I think is what is this, the F-104 Starshooter or something, or Starfighter, right? This is also a very early fighter jet, 1954. Super ugly. Don't like it. D tier. This next one you guys are going to have to help me on. I don't remember. Is this the Mirage 2000? It is. Damn, I'm good. Okay. Mirage 2000. This is a French plane. I think this is what they used before the Rafale, if I'm not mistaken. It's still in service. Okay, they stopped producing in 2007. 601 were built. French Air Force used this. Did they use it in the Navy? Doesn't look like it. I think it's an ugly plane. I don't like it. I think this is D tier. Leon, yes, I will review... yeah, let's take a look at his art real quick. Let me download it. So No Name made this. This is cool. I like this. However, I don't like hair on balls. Don't put hair on your balls, boys and girls. I know it's not like the official Polandball subreddit. You know, it's the YouTube channel. It's different. But generally, I still don't like hair on balls. But this is... Otherwise, this is cool. It's the flag of Ecuador. Ecuador has an aircraft carrier. If there's any country that ever did an aircraft carrier, a nuclear-powered super carrier, it's Ecuador. But yeah, don't put hair on your balls. But otherwise, pretty cool. I like your art style. It's cool. But just get rid of the hair. Firefox. Okay, let's keep going. I think it was Frog that suggested fighter jets. Right up my alley. I think this is the Eurofighter Typhoon, right? This is an easy A tier. Gorgeous plane. Whoops. Eurofighter Typhoon. Yeah. This is a pretty solid 4th generation. I think it's a multi-role aircraft. Originally designed as an air superiority fighter. This is used mostly, I think, by Germany, Royal Air Force. Yeah, Germany, UK, Italy, Spain. This is a cool plane. It's gorgeous. Again, I love canards. I like Delta wings as well. The Eurofighter and the Rafale look pretty similar. FM Roman, how's it going? I like your balls kissing each other comics. Those are funny, even if they're cancer. This one I don't recognize. Do you guys recognize this one? The next two I don't really, and I think I don't know what the third one is after that. What are these three? You guys are gonna have to help me out here. They should really put like labels on them. We're doing a fighter jet tier list, and then I'm going to draw a little bit. Here, let's move on to ones that I do know. The second one's a MiG-21. Okay, MiG-21's kind of iconic, honestly. B tier. That was used in the Vietnam War, I believe. Right? No. Was it? I'm pretty sure it was used in the Vietnam War. Yes. It's ugly by modern standards, but this is sort of like, you can sort of see the evolution of fighter jets from like the late 1940s to the 50s to the 60s, and then sort of more modern designs started to emerge in the 60s. And the MiG-21 was kind of getting there. It's the AK-47 of planes, thousands were made. It's old as hell, but it's still used today. Yeah. B tier. It's not. I mean, it's an iconic plane. It's not super. It's not good anymore, and it's kind of ugly, but it's iconic. I don't know these next two, so you guys are gonna have to help me out with that one. But this one is the F-14, easy S tier. F-14 is a gorgeous plane. It's absolutely massive. This was primarily a carrier-based aircraft for the U.S. Navy. I think Iran famously, before the Islamic Revolution, also they bought F-14s from the U.S. under the Shah's regime. So they still actually operate F-14s. Really cool plane. Very fast. It has variable swept wings, so the wings can go backwards to make it more aerodynamic. Really cool plane. And obviously, it's in Top Gun. Context: no name exposed spy 3434 and found. Okay, I don't care about that. It would be cool if you participate on the next Pixel War on Reddit. Yeah, there's usually a Polandball. The Polandball sub usually makes something. This is the A4 Skyhawk, right? A4 Skyhawk. Isn't this it's like an electronic warfare plane? I'm pretty sure. A4 Skyhawk is a single-seat subsonic carrier-capable light attack aircraft designed and produced by the American aerospace manufacturer Douglas Aircraft Company and later McDonnell Douglas. Okay, I guess it's just light attack aircraft. I'm not a huge fan. I think it's D tier. But I'd put it above the Starfighter and the Mirage 2000. Next one, I don't know. This looks like... I don't know. F-15, easy S tier. F-15 is like... I think the F-15 has the best record of any jet aircraft in the world. I think the F-15 has shot down something like 104 targets and with 0 airframe losses. F-15. Yeah, let's see what their kill ratio is. The F-15, yeah, 104 to 0. So an F-15 has never been shot down in combat. It's shot down 104 different targets, though. The F-15, if you guys don't know, the story of the F-15's development is crazy. The U.S. intelligence discovered the MiG-25. I think this is the MiG-25 Foxbat. And they thought that because of the design of the Foxbat, it had these massive wings and these massive engines. They thought that the MiG-25 was such a massive step up technologically from previous Soviet designs that it was going to be this super agile, super capable air superiority fighter. So they designed this new program to develop what eventually became the F-15. They wanted to create something that was better than the MiG-25. And they ended up producing the F-15, which is still today, to this day, one of the most capable air superiority fighters ever made. They were totally wrong about the MiG-25. I'm pretty sure what happened was a Soviet pilot defected to Japan or something. And so that was the first time that Western engineers and intelligence officers were able to actually get their hands on a MiG-25. And they realized that, oh no, it basically just has it has these massive engines and wings because it's super heavy. So it needed those to fly. It was built as an interceptor. It wasn't an air superiority fighter. So basically, the U.S. defense industrial base overreacted to a perceived threat that didn't exist, and then they over-engineered the F-15. So the F-15 is a result of basically being scared by a fictional sort of characteristics of the MiG-24 or the MiG-25. Or no, maybe this is the MiG-31. Where's the MiG-25? Yeah, this is the MiG-31. MiG-25 should be here somewhere, because that's a pretty iconic plane. So yeah, F-15 is easy S tier. It probably should go up. I put it above the Rafale. Behind, it just can't compete with the F-35 or the F-22 because it's not a stealth fighter. But it's still used as like a missile truck. It's a very capable fighter. Like the only aircraft on this list that could like outmatch the F-15 are the stealth fighters. F-16 I think is A tier. Pretty cool plane. Not the most capable, but it was a cheap, export-oriented sort of American fighter jet. It's like your standard plane. I think it's the most widely produced fighter jet in history, though. F-18, same thing. Yeah, I'd put it ahead of the Eurofighter. F-18, it's primarily a carrier-based aircraft, still used by the U.S. Navy. Finland uses F-18s as well. They're replacing them with their F-35s, though. It's a cool plane. Not the prettiest, but it's by all accounts a very capable plane. What else have we got? I vaguely recognize this one. Is this the A5? No, I don't know what this is. F-20 Tiger Shark? This is the F-20. I don't know anything about this plane. But it's super... it's not super old. It's 1982. Light fighter. It's an evolution of the F-5. Only 3 were ever built, so this has to go in F tier. Sorry. It was a canceled program. Third one is a Corsair. Which Corsair? Because there's the F4U Corsair is the carrier-based plane from World War II. A7 Corsair. It's a light attack aircraft. I actually kind of like how it looks, but I don't really like attack aircraft. Carrier-based plane though, so kind of cool. So I'd put it high C tier. Let's put it after the F5. This one I don't recognize. A10. The A10 is kind of garbage, but it looks cool. And it was designed around the GAU-8 minigun. A10, yeah, the A10 belongs in its own tier. Whoops. No, this is F, and this will be A10. It looks cool, but it's pretty bad from what I understand. It's useless. Most of these planes can do its job better. It's a close attack, ground attack aircraft. So it's super susceptible to what's it called? Short range air defense, SHORAD. So, you know, your standard Stinger or whatever can take this out pretty easily from what I understand. It's basically the US equivalent of the Su-24, like the Frogfoot. So, it's not great. F-35 does its job like a million times better. This one I don't recognize. This is some German or Italian plane, right? And so is this one. I don't recognize most of these. This is the Harrier. The Harrier is an easy A tier. The Harrier is cool as hell. It was first VTOL plane. Vertical takeoff and landing. Super cool. It was used by the Royal Marines, and the US Marines, I think, still operate it. The Royal Navy only replaced them with the F-35 fairly recently. The second one is the Saab Draken. Oh, that's a pretty good plane for its time, from what I understand. I remember watching a video on this. 651 built. It was the first Western European-built combat aircraft with true supersonic capability to enter service, and the first fully supersonic aircraft to be deployed in Western Europe. I think it's ugly, but by all accounts, I'm pretty sure this was a pretty good plane. So let's put it in low B tier. Zidane Alvaro, welcome. Zidane Alvaro from Indonesia. How's it going? Can you have more than one entry on the album cover contest? No, one entry per person. You can do a collaboration, but that counts as the entry for all of those people who collaborate. I don't know these. This is the YF-23. This was the competitor to the F-22. It lost its it lost in the competition, so the F-22 was the one that was produced, but this was supposedly a pretty good plane. Whichever plane was going to win that competition would have been the most capable fifth generation fighter jet ever made. So this probably has to go in S tier, but because it was canceled, I probably have to just put it in like. I have to probably put it in. It has to put it in F tier because it just wasn't made. Like they only made prototypes of it. Same as this one. It was canceled because it lost the competition. It's cool looking though, but I think the F-22 is a cooler looking plane than the F-23. YF-23. I don't recognize this one or this one. This is the MiG-31. It's a evolution of the MiG-25 Foxbat. This is it's an interceptor aircraft. It's pretty fast, pretty cool. B. This is the J. What is this one? This is the JF-35. Is that what it's called? What is it? This is the second Chinese stealth aircraft. They're still developing. It's going to be a carrier-based one. JF-21 or JF-31. FC-31. Yeah, the FC-31. This is still development. It's a prototype, so I can't put it in a high tier. It has to be F tier. But this is going to be China's carrier-based stealth aircraft. This is the Su-34? No. This is the Su-34. Su-34, I think, is a gorgeous plane. I have to put it in A tier. Probably above the Harrier. Harrier is an ugly plane, but it's cool. You think the second one is the Tornado? We already did the Tornado. Tornado's, where is it? C tier. Tornado. This, I think, is the J-15. This is China's, like, workhorse kind of, it's a reverse-engineered Soviet aircraft, I believe. Pretty decent fighter, from what I understand. Probably high B tier. Why is YF-23 in F tier? Because it was just a prototype. Let me see. I'm trying to find out which exact... There's a lot of Su's and MiGs. And I'm trying to find all of them. Su-35? This is the Su-35. This is, it's an air superiority... Oh, where'd it go? This is the Su-35. Air superiority plane. Pretty capable from what I understand. Relatively modern. This is probably high A tier. Probably... Yeah, it's probably above the F-16. This is... I forget what number this is. This is the Yak something. This was a Soviet, like, knockoff of the Harrier. And Soviet and Russian naval aviation is a joke, so F tier. Soviet and Russian navies are jokes. The only, like, competent element of the Soviet and Russian navies has basically only ever been the submarine force. I want to say this one is a Su-47 or MiG-47. The reverse, yeah, this is the Su-47. It's also a prototype, so it has to be F tier. But it looks so cool. This is one of the coolest looking planes here. It's just they only built like 1 or 2 of these. It was a technology demonstrator. Yeah, they only ever built 1. Interestingly, you can go on Google Maps and you can see this at some Russian air base. So it was super acrobatic because of the way that the wings are swept forward instead of backward. But not very stable design. Third one is the F-111. Oh, the Aardvark? Vark. This was a pretty good ground attack aircraft from what I understand. This was like the A-10 before the A-10 was a thing. So, probably C tier. It's ugly. So I know these two are Russian designs. I need help with all the other ones, though. List of MiG aircraft. This, I think, is the MiG-35, which is a very, very new plane. But the problem is, like, a lot of modern Russian Su and MiG designs are basically just, like, iterative variants of old Soviet designs. So they're not, like, brand new airframes. There are only 6 of these have been made, and 6 plus serial units, and then 2 test aircraft. So there's really not a lot of them, but it's a cool looking plane, and it's pretty capable. This is probably a high B tier. Probably not as capable as the Su-57. Put it behind the J-15, I think. The F-111 had a whole ejection pod mechanism. This one, I'm blanking on. This is also a Russian aircraft. Both of these. Is this the MiG-24? This might be the MiG-24. I think this is the MiG-24 because the exhaust intakes are angled forward like the MiG-24, and it's boxy like the MiG-24. Or sorry, the MiG-25. It was a pretty good plane. It was just, it wasn't It wasn't what the Soviets hyped it up to be. So it's probably like a B tier. Let's put it there. Oh, is this the Su-34? Yeah, this is the Su-34. This is also a relatively modern plane. They built a lot of them. A lot of these have been shot down in Ukraine, I believe. But by all accounts, it's a pretty capable aircraft. This is probably a B tier as well. Like, Russian aviation isn't terrible. I don't recognize these. This one, what is this one? Is this the Gripen? I think this is the Gripen. Yeah, this is the Saab Gripen. This is a good plane. This is an A-tier plane. It's high A-tier. I'm gonna draw some after I finish this this tier list. The last one here is the Viggen? Viggen? V-I-G-G-E-N? Saab Viggen. I don't know anything about this plane. First flight, 1967. It was only ever used by Sweden. I mean, Saab has produced some really good stuff over the years, but I don't know anything about this plane, so I'll probably put it C tier. Your country uses the Gripen, but only like 3 or 2. Yeah, they're the problem with the Gripen is that, like, it's not that much cheaper than something like the F-35, and you get a lot more capability from the F-35. So it's been very hard for Saab to find markets to sell it. Because basically, particularly after Russia invaded Ukraine in 2022, the American defense industrial base has been absolutely juiced because people are terrified, particularly in East Asia, Southeast Asia, and in Eastern Europe and Northern Europe, really taking the idea of like Russian and Chinese aggression more seriously than they have in the past couple of decades. So people want to buy the best if they can afford it. So a lot of countries have been placing orders for the F-35, for example, because it gives you a leg up on anything that Russia can produce, for example. Whereas the Gripen or the Rafale might be a perfectly capable plane, but like if you're fighting for keeps, you want the best if you can afford the best. And the F-35 is the best thing that you can buy on the market right now. Granted, you know, the U.S. isn't going to sell F-35s to potential hostile nations like Russia or China or Iran, you know? So you have to be on good terms with the U.S. I think Thailand tried to buy F-35s from the U.S., but the U.S. said no, because like we're not super close with Thailand. I'm pretty sure we're still allies, but not close enough to like sell them F-35s. So yeah, I don't recognize these bottom 4. And it doesn't look like you guys either, so we'll just stop here. So you can see here, like in the S tier, it's basically all American planes. Part of the reason is because American like war doctrine is basically based around air superiority. It's we don't plan for wars where we don't we assume that we have air superiority. So we design our aircraft to basically be to dominate the airspace. Because if we don't, then like you're going to end up with an attritional war like you have in Ukraine, right? Where neither side is able to establish air superiority. So we over-engineer our planes. Like the F-35, this is Cold War era technology. This is it was first sort of thought up, like this program to develop the F-22, I believe started in 1987. The first F-22, I think, flew in 1997 and entered service in 2005. So this is an old plane. It's been in service for nearly 2 decades now, and it's still the best thing out there. And we're working on its replacement now. It's called the Next Generation Air Dominance Program. And a technology demonstrator flew, I think, 2 years ago. So the first 6th generation fighter aircraft we'll probably see before the end of this decade. So the U.S. tends to over-engineer and then pump out a ton of these actually like very good aircraft. Because it's very important for power projection. Have I seen the X-47B and the Boeing Bird of Prey, literal UFOs? I have. They're super cool. And these are just fighter aircraft, right? Like, we haven't even covered like the B-2 or the B-21, which are amazing, you know? But anyway, that's enough of this. Let's draw. That was fun. All right, so first things first, announcing the next art contest for Saturday. Saturday morning, we're doing an album-inspired art contest. So, the rules are that you must draw some kind of Polandball-inspired album cover. You can do an original piece, you can do a spoof or homages to existing albums. Only one entry per person. You can collaborate with other people, but that entry will count as the entry for each of those people. So you can't do a collaboration and your own individual piece. One per person, that's it. Don't draw hair on your balls either. All right, no hair. You should still follow normal Polandball rules as well. That should be a given. And again, you submit your entry in the Comics and Art channel in our Discord. And we'll do a contest on Saturday morning at 10 a.m. like we've done for the past 2 weeks. Maybe I can convince Gatenerd or Aaron or Dick Reiner or something to be a guest judge as well, or host. But I plan on being there. And then Envita drew this artwork. So shout out to Envita. Really cool stuff. All right, so I'm going to draw a NATO drone wall for PNN. So I'm going to draw a lot of balls. Let's do like 7 or 8 NATO drones in the front, and then I'm going to do Poland and the Baltic states, Norway, and Finland behind. Can I draw the Roman Empire falling down the stairs? Is there a joke there that I don't understand? One second. Talking to Aaron. Aaron has been working overtime on all of our drawings. See, like, most of the shorts are Aaron's artwork. So Aaron tends to do most of the art, and then I do the editing. But a couple of the ones I've done entirely by myself, like the Job Hunt short, I did that all by myself. It was fun. It's time-consuming to do all this stuff. He's accustomed to basement life? Yeah. So this will be first NATO. Let's do NATO 2. Oh, I can't draw balls today. My ball drawing skills have atrophied. Cause I've been using DaVinci Resolve to make videos instead of drawing for the past couple weeks. That's not true. I've drawn quite a bit. Cool. Godzilla, could I remake your country ball? You want it to remain in its original spot? Maybe. Prussian media. In the Cold War, Russia had an airplane where it would fail in 3 seconds of flying. The pilots would drink the cooling liquid due to tasting like vodka. What plane is that? I mean, that's... Unfortunately... You know, hold on. I actually don't like these balls. I'm going to give them thinner outlines. Apparently, that's just like a thing that is pretty widespread in the Russian army. Is, like, there were stories that Russian units, before they actually invaded Ukraine, there were a bunch of Russian units that were posted in Belarus, right? And like Belarusian locals told people, and it made it out to Western journalists, that these guys are literally just like siphoning the gasoline and stuff out of their tanks and their trucks and stuff and turning it into alcohol or something. The various fuel that they were using. It's pretty Pretty crazy. So this will be NATO 1. Opinion on the band Rush. I've never been into Rush. Nothing against them, it's just not for me, you know? It's gonna be annoying to draw all the NATO symbols. The NATO flag is actually kind of hard to draw, I think. What do you guys think? NATO bots. I might draw like 3 or 4 different balls and then just copy and paste them. Manny, you got one better. Chinese rocket force members were using rocket fuel to make hot pot and filling the missiles with water. I did see that news article. I think some people were saying it might have been a mistranslation. Because translating from Eastern languages into English is pretty dicey. So it's possible that it was just a mistranslation, but I wouldn't want to underestimate China, and I feel like a lot of people, particularly Americans, might be underestimating China just because we've been comfortable for so long that like the U.S. is on top. No one can possibly threaten our interests. So I'm personally worried about a Chinese invasion of Taiwan. I don't think the U.S. should be resting on its laurels. So the international order is already fraying. The U.S. is not capable of maintaining sort of the international system that sort of existed in the immediate aftermath of the Cold War until about, like, 5 years ago. It's just, there are too many other challengers out there. Lana, can I check out the Berber flag? Kabylian flag? Flag of the movement for self-determination of Kabylia. Yeah, let me pull it up. Whoops, hold on. Make it its own tab. So this is a flag of the movement for the self-determination of Kabylie. What is this? It was founded in 2001. So it's a nationalist and separatist political organization seeking autonomy and self-determination for the Kabyle people. There are Berber people that live in Algeria. They represent the largest Berber population of Algeria and the second largest in North Africa. There's about 5 million of them in Algeria, 1 million in France, and 37,000 in Canada. The flag? It's designated as a terrorist organization by Algeria. I've literally never heard of this organization before. I don't really like the flag, to be honest. I think this is maybe like a C tier. There's another one. I don't like the red. I think the red clashes with the blue and the yellow. Okay, there's also this one. This one is better. Let me pull this one up. This one is much better. This is, I think, a low B tier. I don't really like the colors. Like, I don't like the blue bands. I think the blue and the green don't really work well together. But this is a much better flag than the other one. This is, I would say this is a low B tier. The other one was a low C tier. Radioactive Potato, should you temporarily leave the stream so that you draw your submission to the contest? No, you should keep the stream on at the very least. You can mute it. Not this one. Okay, there's yet another one. There's also this one. Is this the one? I don't like this one. I think this is ugly. Yeah, I don't like this. I think this is also a low C tier. I think of these three, this is the best one. Let's draw some balls. Fix this ball. We're gonna give each of these balls guns, like a rifle, and red eyes, and they have to look robotic. So I'll put like little screws on them, you know. All right, let's get the NATO flag. What do you guys think of the NATO flag? We'll do a poll. I don't think it's the worst flag. It's recognizable. It's simple enough, but still kind of complicated that you can't really remember it from the top of your head. Like, you would recognize it if you saw it. But it'd be hard to sort of remember how to draw it from memory, I think. I think it's probably a B tier. B minus. Let's do a poll. Yeah, I like the star. I think it might honestly be better without... Here, let's take a look. Actually, hold on. Let's... Do you guys think this is better? Manny, you give it an A tier? I don't know if I think this is better. It's a little barren. It's supposed to be a compass, that's why it looks like that. That makes sense. It's not a bad flag, but I don't think it's great. Yeah, I think B tier. Yeah, if the star was bigger. It's better, but no, I think the original flag is better. Back to the original flag. Put some eyes on these balls. It's okay. Fighter jet tier list was fun. We should do like a ship one at some point too. Like warship names. Which do you think looks better? This or this? 1 or 2? 1 or 2? 1 or 2? 1? Okay. I don't know, they need to be red. NATO bots. It's like doing an eye exam. That's exactly what I was going for. Alright, yeah, you guys agreed. We'll go with 1. Let's do eyes 2 for NATO 2. What happened? I lost one of my balls. Where'd my third ball go? Oh well. Clip that. We'll make another ball. It's alright. You can make new ones? Sure can. Maybe they should be redder, like dark red. Ooh, that looks better. More menacing. Let's do NATO 3. Should something like a tank tier list? That'd be interesting. I don't really like tanks. I don't think tanks are super interesting, to be honest. I like ships. I like planes. I don't think like the technology in a tank ultimately matters that much. At least... Oh, that's a decent ball. Tanks are pretty easily destroyable with like modern weapons, you know, like javelins and NLAWs and whatever. And like tank versus tank battles very rarely happen, but it's just more important that you have like some kind of armored vehicle to help troops as they advance, you know? Tanks are outdated. I don't think they're outdated. You still need some kind of mechanized force to accompany infantry, right? Like, all of these are... all these different technologies on the battlefield act as, like, force multipliers with each other, right? Like, you need infantry to help support tanks. You need tanks to help support infantry. And then you need aircraft to help support all of your ground forces, right? A $200 drone with C4 or some text will at least disable it. Yeah, I mean, we're seeing that in Ukraine, is that when you have some kind of numerical parity or something close to it, it's really, like, these weapons don't really make a difference. Individual weapon platforms are less important. Like, there's no such thing as a wonder weapon anymore, you know, if there ever were. Doctrine matters, especially in an attritional war like the war in Ukraine. It's an attritional war. Like, what matters is, like, which economy is going to break first. You know, it's if the West sort of continues to support Ukraine, then the Russian economy will, at a certain point, not be able to maintain their war effort, right? Like, it's very reminiscent of World War I, where you have the Allies the Triple Entente versus the Triple Alliance, right? Like, on the Western Front in particular, the Germans made advances, right? But they were eventually outmatched by the Entente. just because they could not outlast the Entente. The Entente outlasted the German Empire, and the German Empire collapsed as a result. I feel like that's probably how the war in Ukraine ends. I mean, if I had to guess, I think there's going to be internal strife in Russia, whether it's limited to sort of like the Kremlin and like upper echelons of power, or a more sort of widespread discontent among the population that becomes untenable. I don't know, but I think the war ends with Russia sort of buckling first, because the Western economies are just, they completely put the Russian economy to shame. It's just, does the will exist in Western capitals to sort of continue to support Ukraine? And that NATO flagpole. Yeah, I've seen like a lot of drone footage from the war, and it's absolutely terrifying. Like, being an infantryman in modern war seems like it'd be absolute hell. So, for those of you who live in like Western countries, or countries that are aligned with the United States, or have some kind of independent nuclear arsenal, be very thankful that your country is safe, because you don't want it to look like what's happening in Ukraine, or in Gaza for that matter. It's just the horrors of modern war are just absolutely terrifying. And I do think a lot of Westerners take for granted the peace that we've enjoyed for the past however many decades. It wasn't always like this, right? You know, it's human history is absolutely littered with crazy dictators who want more power, who want to conquer more land, right? Like, the idea of Russia invading Ukraine for nothing more than out of nothing more than their desire for imperial conquest, like, that's the norm in human history. Like, the idea that it's somehow a different kind of war, or rather the justifications for the war are somehow different, is wrong. That it's straight up like, Putin just wants more landed territory and people to rule over. Like, that's it. How many empires and states and tribes have existed like that throughout human history? It's nothing new. And I think people forget in the Western world that liberal democracy is a very new and ahistorical phenomenon, and we should not take it for granted. Prussiano, 47, your country's 50% on US side and 50% on Russian side. You think, what country, if I can ask? Turkey? Because Turkey's a NATO state. You know, they're Brazil. Yeah, Lula has not been great on the issue of Ukraine. But I know we have Brazilians in the chat and in the community in general. I don't want to offend you guys, but like, Brazil is kind of a non-factor in the Ukraine war, the war in Ukraine. It's just not it just doesn't have that kind of influence that, you know, a China or a United States or Europe does, right? It's too far removed from Europe physically, and economically it's just not sort of large enough to kind of affect the greater machinations of the international economy. But Brazil is, I think, technically a U.S. ally, or at least it was at one point. It's a major non-NATO ally of the United States, yeah. All right, we've got our little NATO boys here, NATO balls. I have to copy the flag over because I'm not going to remember what it looks like. It's hard to draw. Oh, I shouldn't have... Oh, you know what? I should have merged the eyes yet. Okay. NATO 1, NATO 2. These are pretty good balls. Do I think Siberia will ever gain independence from Russia or change hands from Russia? Unless like the Russian state collapses in spectacular fashion, no. I don't think Russia will ever gain independence. It's the only other power that could conceivably like make a land grab at Russian territory if the Russian government were to collapse would be China. And I don't think China is interested in sort of territorial expansion into a state that is nominally an ally of theirs now. Watching a drone footage video out of curiosity and seeing a guy's leg get blown off sure is something. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't share like these kinds of videos with people because, you know, I get like gore and stuff is upsetting to people, but I don't like how war and like violence have been desensitized in most societies. War is not pretty. Particularly in the United States, one of the things that I absolutely hate that the media does is that it doesn't show like what school shootings look like, what mass shootings look like. And I think it makes it very easy for people to sort of ignore the problem because you don't actually see the violence, you know? You don't see dead bodies, you know? I don't know if you guys know about this or remember this, but there was a school shooting in the United States, the Sandy Hook Elementary School shooting. The guy, the perpetrator, murdered something like 12 or 24 toddlers. And the U.S. did nothing in response to it. Like, it's a complete failure of the United States as a society to not even address gun control when guns are being used to literally murder toddlers. Like, it's a sick society that basically ignores child murder, you know? I think this is one of the most shameful things about the United States is its gun culture. We did nothing. We did absolutely nothing. It's really sad. People care more about their guns than a stranger dying, you know? And you'll meet, like, you know, gun nuts. And then they'll say, like, they just don't care, man. They just don't care. You know, but as soon as it's somebody they know who's the victim of gun violence, or if it's, like, their family, then it's a problem, you know? But it's like that for conservatives on, like, basically every issue. But, like, it's just it's so much more egregious when it's gun violence. Because it's like, it doesn't have to be this way. It's like, gun violence, as it exists in the United States, it doesn't exist anywhere else, you know? Like, no other developed country has this problem. We can't pretend that it's, like, an unsolvable problem, because it's literally a problem that only exists in the United States. It's so stupid. Animation, can I show your country ball road sign art? Yeah. Let's take a look. Prussian media made something. Let's take a look at this. Where did you put animation. Okay, I got it. Yeah, let's take a look at these. These are pretty good. So Prussian Media made this, and then Animation made this. So first, Prussian Media. Planet Ball comic. Love it. You guys need to make more Planet Ball content, because I love Planet Ball. So we've got Mars here with a... What is that, a US flag on it? Or Taiwanese flag? I can't tell. But there's a flag on Mars. Earth and the moon. Sun. I really like how you did the sun here, but it's... looks like advanced tools. And then US in a spacesuit. Super cool. Oh, it's me in space. Right on. Thank you. I like it. This is cool. I love Planet Ball content. Have I seen what's happening in Rio Grande do Sul? It's pure chaos? No, what's happening? Oh, there's flooding? Yeah, there's actually a storm passing through us right now, too. For like... Today, it's been raining all day. I haven't been able to leave. Yeah, we had thunderstorms all day. And then Wednesday and Thursday we're going to as well. There were mudslides in Papua New Guinea. Right? A landslide. Yeah, this is terrible. There's a landslide in Papua New Guinea. It has buried more than 2,000 people, according to the government. Jesus. That's terrible. Got a terrible storm there in London, too. You find Planet Ball kind of underrated? Yeah, I agree. I think Planet Ball, there's a lot of content that you can conceivably make, but it's a more niche... It's a more niche subject than Polandball, because people know less about, like, celestial phenomenon than they do about, you know, like, countries and history and whatever. What makes it worse is that it's happening in lesser developed nations. Exactly, which means rescue efforts are going to be way less capable. And generally... when you have natural disasters like that hit less developed countries, the infrastructure is more brittle. So like buildings and roads and bridges and stuff are more likely to collapse, be destroyed, right? Like Papua New Guinea is one of the least developed countries on the planet, I believe, certainly in Southeast Asia. The UN should really do more to help things like that. I mean, yeah, but the UN is not a world government. It doesn't really have the funding to do a lot of stuff like this. Like, it does do relief efforts and stuff like that. This is actually one of the benefits of having sort of a massive Navy, actually, is that the US is able to project a lot of... the Navy is built on power projection. So because, like, the US can operate these logistical lines across the entire planet, it can really help a lot with rescue efforts and humanitarian relief efforts. The aircraft carriers can generate power for small cities and stuff too, because they're nuclear powered. Very small cities though, like 5,000 people. We need peacekeeping forces and humanitarian units in all nations. I mean, yeah, word up to me, the UN would be a global government. It's just you're not going to get national governments to agree on that, right? Like, look how hard it is even to get European states to agree to give up more power to Brussels on things like defense or foreign policy. Now imagine the entire world trying to do that with the UN. It's not going to happen anytime soon. So yeah, this is cool. Love Planet Ball. And then Animation made this. Road signs. Red, follow exactly what's written and don't skip any tasks. Green, typically location directions. You're going to Brazil. Blue/indigo directs you to places, specifically McDonald's. Yellow, proceed with full caution and aware of the warnings. Make sure you're wearing a belt. Fluorescent green, pedestrian, bicycle, and school stuff. This place name needs school to say. White, regular moderation signs that provide peace. Orange, road work and construction. Don't get confused by the borders. Brown, recreational areas or cultural interests. Great for if you like being eaten. Fluorescent pink, incident warnings and fixing, just like this flag needs fixing. This is really cool. I really like this. opinion on Kraftwerk? I don't think I've listened to Kraftwerk. German electronic band formed in Dusseldorf, 1970. Dusseldorf. Yeah, these are really good drawings. I really like this. Good job in animation. We could do a car list here. Ooh, that would be fun, yeah. That's not right. There we go. I don't know. I think the NATO flag actually does kind of slap. Maybe I'm seeing it now. I've seen episode 2 of Amazing Digital Circus. I don't know what Amazing Digital Circus is. What is that? Whoops. I want to duplicate this. Okay, so this is NATO Drone 1. Oh, I have to do, I have to give him, like, panels. How am I gonna do that? Like a dark blue. Maybe not that dark. Do 1 pixel. That's pretty good, I think. My favorite band is Royksop. I think I've told you guys that before. They're a Norwegian electronic duo. I love me some Daft Punk and Justice too, though. What are these drawings for? I'm making this for Polandball News. There was a news story about how 6 NATO states have agreed to build a drone wall. So I'm going to do a bunch of NATO drones. So I'm drawing them as robots. There we go. NATO 1. All 3 of those. I mean, we're getting close to war looking like this, you know? Where it's literally just robots fighting each other. It's an improvement, you know? So yeah, this is for PNN, so I'm cheating on copy-pasting a little bit. Just watched Clarkson's Farm as well. I don't know if you guys know that. It's on Amazon. Jeremy Clarkson, a well-known British celebrity. He has a farming show. It's really good. It's funny. 3 seasons of it. So I just finished the most recent season last night. It's great. He's known for Top Gear and the Grand Tour, the motoring shows. Why don't I copy-paste everything? Because then it's not super Polandball-y. Like, Polandball rules are very strict about copy-pasting and reusing existing assets. So generally it's frowned upon to copy and paste excessively. Like, it's fine for backgrounds generally, but like individual balls and individual assets should generally be original. But for PNN, we're still experimenting with YouTube because YouTube is a different platform, and so far we have a different audience on YouTube than we do on Reddit. And just by virtue of the game, like, you need to put out videos a lot, and videos are a lot more time consuming than just drawing a comic. So we're generally okay. I mean, there's 7 people on the channel. We're okay with sort of copy pasting ourselves to make YouTube content. But even then, we still don't do a lot of copy pasting. Now I say that, now I'm going to copy and paste a bunch of these. Alright. We got a bunch of our NATO bots. No, don't merge. Duplicate layers. Oh, I need to give them guns first. Hold on. What sort of rifle should we give them? There's no standard NATO rifle, so we could give him like a FAMAS, we could give him an M4, we could give him a G36. What sort of rifles should they be holding? What do the Polish armed forces use? MSBS Grot C. That's a cool looking rifle. We're gonna draw it. The FB MSBS Grot. In English, the Modular Firearm System Spearhead. It's a family of modular assault rifles developed and manufactured by FB Lutznik Redom. The MSBS is the first machine carbine fully designed and produced completely in Poland since World War II, as well as the largest firearms sale contract taken on by the Polish arms industry since 1989. Interesting. I guess Ukraine uses it too. That makes sense. Give them bullpup rifles. HK, G11, M60, 1886 lever action shotgun. Hold on. This is it. This is the Polish armed forces uses this. I think this is a really cool looking rifle. What do you guys think? I think we give them this. The drone wall is mostly for NATO states too, or for it's Poland, the 3 Baltic states, Norway, and Sweden. Or sorry, Norway and Finland. So yeah, let's just do this. Make it a little bit smaller. What do we think? Like that? I think that looks good. Okay. Let's trace it. It looks futuristic, yeah. I think it looks super cool. I've never liked the M4. I think the M4 is kind of an ugly rifle. Youngblood, thanks for joining. Remember to drop a like on the stream, please. Appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, this is a pretty cool looking rifle. Let's do green. For the other assets, the main outline is pink, and then green for other assets. Line tool. Why not? It's a cool looking rifle. Good job, Poland. Favorite weapon used in a movie? I mean, it's got to be a lightsaber, right? Lightsabers are cool. Who, like, as a kid, didn't pretend like a roll of what was it? Like wrapping paper, you know, the cardboard roll that you get with wrapping paper? Every kid played with that as a lightsaber. I had like plastic lightsabers as a kid too. Lightsabers are cool. What was your favorite? CHCH? Is that an ACR? No, this is an MSBS. MSBS Grot. It's a Polish. It's used by the Polish Armed Forces. It's an indigenous Polish design. And Poland is now one of NATO's heavy hitters, so I figured why not? Why not use one of their weapons? This drone army is also mostly Poland, right? So. Sinister Sri Lanka Productions. What am I doing? I am drawing for PNN. There's a story about how 6 NATO nations have decided to create a drone wall to protect against Russia. So I'm drawing a bunch of NATO bots as the drones, and I'm drawing a Polish assault rifle. Let's do single pixel for the lines on the cartridge. Now we just need to do the barrel. Mr. Goober, how's it going? Gate Nerd. Gate Nerd, do you wanna hop in voice chat and talk to people? You're glad you're not the only Polandball artist who does tracing? Yeah, we've always allowed tracing. I remember I asked the mods, like, way, many years ago if tracing was allowed, and they said it was fine. The idea that, like, you can't, you're not an artist if you trace is stupid, so. Alright, we're gonna get Gate Nerd in chat, boys and girls. NATO should recreate the disassembly drones from murder drones. It would easily get to Moscow within 2 weeks. These bots give you Terminator vibes? Yeah, that's what I'm going for. That's why I give them red eyes.
Oh, audible.
Hello.
Hey, how's it going? Does my mic sound okay?
Yeah. Chat, say hello to Gay Nerd.
Hi, chat.
You guys have to convince Gate Nerd to do more streams so I can take a break.
Yeah, unfortunately, I usually just am busy in the evenings. But...
No, I totally get it. I'm usually free, which is why I can do it.
Is this, you said this is for PNN?
Yeah, so that the drone wall story that you linked.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna have a wall of NATO bots as the drones, and then I'm gonna put Poland, Finland, Norway, and the Baltic states behind them, and I'm gonna make it like a dark sort of Terminator kind of theme.
Oh, that's good.
Be a good art piece to draw on stream, figure.
Is that a Polish assault rifle?
It is. This is the FB
Like the
MSBS
standard
Grob.
Ah.
Indigenous Polish design used by the Polish Armed Forces. It's pretty cool.
I'm surprised that they make their own. I figured that Europe mostly used either American or like some multinational corporation or something.
I know. Most European states have a pretty advanced, like, small arms industry. Like, Belgium is pretty well known for having really advanced small arms industry.
That's cool. I know very little about that stuff.
Do you like a lighter gray here?
You think I'm out of the basement? Chukchuv. I don't even know how you're supposed to say that.
I just call him CHCH.
CHCH. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it like Icelandic or something? Who doesn't use vowels? Is it the Poles? Or do they use a lot?
I think a lot of those Slavic languages don't like vowels.
Yeah. German weapon manufacturing. They still are there still like weapons that Germany produces that are descended from World War II weapons, or did they like start from scratch?
I think like a lot of the companies are still around, like Krupps. You know Krupps?
I've heard of Krupps.
KRUPPS. They make like coffee machines and household appliances now. They
Yeah.
they made artillery for like Prussia. I don't know if they're still like a defense contractor, but yeah, like a lot of old German companies still exist and make.
I guess that makes sense because all the car companies are still around. And like Porsche made the engines for most tanks, I think.
That sounds right. Like same with Japan, right? Like Mitsubishi.
Yeah.
Made
Mitsubishi made the Zero.
Yep.
That was their major thing. Toyota was founded after, though. I think both Toyota and Honda came after.
Yeah.
But Mitsubishi and Isuzu were during the war?
That sounds right.
Do you ever watch the Tank Museum?
No, what is that?
The Bovington Tank Museum in England has a YouTube channel that they showcase like tanks. They've got like top 10 tank videos, which is pretty fun. But they have a very impressive tank collection. including a lot of the only remaining version, like, of a model that still runs. They have a few of those. Like, I think they have the only Tiger that still runs or still functions or something like that.
Interesting. Yeah, there's like a lot of that really old equipment is. You would think that more of those would still be functional just for like historical purposes, but a lot of stuff just doesn't exist anymore. You know, like there's something like only 2 or 3 B-17s that are still flight worthy. One of them crashed the other year, like a year or two ago, at an air show. Everyone on board died, unfortunately. But there's, I think, maybe 2 more.
Yeah, I mean, with those old planes, like, once you run out, well, even like the spare parts that they would still have lying around, those have a shelf life.
Yeah.
And so at this point, you've got to manufacture from scratch replacement parts.
It's a good-looking rifle, chat.
And there's just nobody who can do that anymore.
Yeah.
At least, like, financially. Of course, somebody could do it if you just threw money at them, but there's nobody who does. It all has to be made in like made in a shop.
Yeah.
Which is a shame, but you know, I like mechanical stuff as much as the next guy, but I'm fine just looking at it. The Air and Space Museum in DC.
Oh, I love it.
You've been there. Love that. Like Skylab, that's one of my favorite things in
Super
any
cool.
museum.
Have you been to the annex, the National Air and Space Museum's annex in I think it's in Chantilly, Virginia?
No, I haven't been.
I highly recommend it. It's even better than I wouldn't say it's better than the main museum because the main museum has a literal moon rock. Chat, if you guys don't know this,
I've seen pictures of it.
Yeah, Chad, if you don't know this, there's the Apollo astronauts collected a bunch of rocks, obviously from the moon. They brought them back, and they sent them all over the world. So most countries of some kind have, most countries have some kind of moon rock that's on display. In the U.S., you can go and touch a moon rock at the National Air and Space Museum in Washington, D.C. It's like right in front of the entrance. It's one of the main exhibits. There's just like this podium, and it has a rock. It's been worn down, you know, because people have been touching it for 40, 50 years. But it's super cool. You can touch an actual moon rock. But yeah, the annex has a lot of other like famous aircraft. It has the Enola Gay. Is it?
Right.
Yeah, I think it has the Enola Gay. Yeah, which was the B-29 that dropped the Hiroshima bomb.
Didn't it drop both of them?
Hold on.
I know it dropped the Hiroshima bomb, but I thought that it dropped both of them.
I don't think... Did it drop the other one?
It very well might not have.
I don't think it did.
Yeah, we just remember the first.
Yeah.
The second one doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's the Enola Gay was disassembled and then reassembled in at the annex in Virginia. They have an SR-71 Blackbird there. They did use, like, when I went, it was a number of years ago. I went maybe like 12 or 13 years ago. They had the Enterprise space shuttle, which was not a real space shuttle. It was the atmospheric like test glide system that they made. So it was mostly. It was like a complete mock-up of the space shuttles. It just wasn't space-worthy. But they would like drop it from the 747 or whatever and let it glide down. It was to test the landing systems for the space shuttle. So they had that one at the annex. And when they retired the space shuttles, they gave one of the actual space shuttles to DC. So one of the actual shuttles is there now. I want to say it's Atlantis, but I'm not positive. And then they moved the Enterprise to the Intrepid aircraft carrier, which is moored in Manhattan. It's a museum, aircraft museum, based on an old aircraft carrier in Manhattan. So yeah, the annex is super cool. There's a lot of cool stuff there.
The annex has got like they're like planes just basically on top of each other or like under the wings of others. Like it's super packed, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a air and space museum in Kansas, And I wanted to say that it had a space shuttle, but it doesn't. It has one of the Apollo command modules, the one from Apollo 13. And then it has an SR-71 as well.
That's super cool. I've always loved the SR-71. Such a cool plane.
Yeah. No, it's the coolest plane ever built. It'll never be topped, I think.
Never say never.
Just because functionally it can't be topped. In order to be more effective at what it does, you have to go to space.
That's fair.
And you can be more effective than it, but a spaceship is not as cool as an airplane.
Hard disagree. Chat, let's put Gator in his place. We're going to do a poll. Spaceships or aircraft? Spaceships are so much cooler.
Think about the reality of spaceships, though, chat. Not what's in movies. Just like the reality of it. That you just point them in a direction and they go in that direction, and then you don't change it.
No, that's not true. You have maneuvering thrusters.
True.
You got engines. But yeah, I mean, they're not as maneuverable, sure, but they don't need to be because they're not traveling through atmospheres.
Yeah.
No, chat, you guys are wrong.
But they always end up looking symmetrical and
spaceships,
like mildly aerodynamic, kind of. But because a lot of them have to do re-entry. But I just want to see spaceships that look completely insane from like from the perspective of aircraft. Like the International Space Station. That's what a spacecraft should look like, not Battlestar Galactica or the Enterprise or whatever. Those look like they would work in an atmosphere. You don't need it to be symmetrical, except for the fact that propulsion needs to be symmetrical. But you could work it out. I want it to look funky.
Sorry, I'm duplicating and like moving layers all around.
Oh no, you're good.
I really like this drone wall. Literal drone wall. So chat was 13 votes. There's more viewers than that. Come on, vote. But it's 54 to 46 in favor of spaceships.
Yeah, that's fair.
But yeah, like hyper-maneuverable spacecraft like X-Wings or something. We're not there yet, but...
Yeah. Do you, have you read the Expanse books or watched the TV show?
I watched the show, and I thought it was very hit or miss. Like, there were some really good seasons and episodes, and some of the actors and characters were really good, but I felt like some of them weren't.
Yeah. No,
I haven't read the books. Agree. Have you read the books?
I've read the first 2 books. The books are decent.
The first one is Leviathan Wakes, right?
I think so.
Because that's on my reading list.
It's on a shelf near me somewhere. I can't see it. But I think that's the first one. Have you read The 3-Body Problem?
Yes. I read the first book last year, and then the second and third one in January and February. I could not put them down.
Yeah, I love them so much.
Did you watch the Netflix adaptation?
No, I've seen the Tencent one, but not the Netflix one.
Yeah, I watched both of them. The Tencent one I thought was good in the sense that like it was a very faithful reproduction of the book,
right.
You know? But it was not... I didn't think it was a good TV show, you know?
I definitely agree. It gets very boring.
It's way too long.
Way too long, yeah.
Like you can read the book quicker than you can watch the TV show.
Yeah. I think I went through each book in like a week. Each.
Yeah. Which is your favorite of the 3?
The second one. Yeah.
That's what most people say. Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. I also really like the third one a lot, but I don't know if I like it more than the first. Which one has the Battle of Midnight or whatever it's called? The
Battle of the Darkness. That's book 2, Dark Forest.
Book 2, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, Book 2 is my favorite.
Yeah, most people agree. Chat, if you guys don't know this, we're talking about the Three Body Problem trilogy. There's a Netflix adaptation that came out maybe like a month or two ago, which is pretty good. There's a Chinese adaptation that came out last year, which is good in a different way, but is very faithful to the books. It's all free on YouTube if you want to watch it. Just Google like the Tencent Three Body Problem adaptation. And then the books themselves, like if you're interested in sci-fi, just read the books. The books are better than both of the TV shows. The second and third book are generally considered better than the first one. My favorite is the third one, just because it gets absolutely crazy. Like I love the scope of the third one, but I do agree that the second book is probably like the best piece of literature of the three. But I prefer the third one.
The third one has two of my favorite things from the entire series. Well, I guess it's the same person, but the ladder to heaven and that character who gets sent and that whole storyline, which is I believe at the beginning of the third book and then it goes throughout the third book, is like my favorite. That's the coolest sci-fi idea, like low-tech sci-fi idea that I've ever read.
The ladder to heaven? What do you mean? Is this like the space elevator?
No, I don't want to spoil it too much for chat, but the guy who at the very beginning of the like storyline, like in the early 2000s, they want to send a message to intercept the
the staircase project.
They want to staircase project.
Yes, yeah, that was super cool. The scene in the Netflix show, I thought was one of the best scenes in the show.
I didn't realize they did all that. I knew that they were mixing in the second book. I didn't
Oh,
realize
yeah. So the way they did it, and Chad, if you don't know this, so there's 3 books in the trilogy. There's the Three Body Problem, The Dark Forest, and Death's End. And the Dark Forest and Death's End, the second and third books, have events that happen contemporaneously with the first book. So the way that they structured the Netflix adaptation was that they took basically all of the events that happen at the same time in universe and put them into the first season of the show. So the staircase project is something that happens in book 3, but they put it in the Netflix show because it happens at the same time as most of what happens in book 1, which I thought was actually a good idea for a TV adaptation, so you don't have constant flashbacks in future seasons.
Yeah, no, that makes sense because each book kind of does the same thing where a big chunk of it happens in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
And then the first book has a lot of flashbacks to the 60s through the 80s. And then the second book has a lot of flash forwards till the Deterrence era, and then the third book does Deterrence era forward.
Yeah.
Yeah. I really like it. I think that Cixin Liu, the author, is my favorite sci-fi author or like creator of any media, like movies or TV show. Like his stuff is so creative, and like the sci-fi is so purely sci-fi. I love it.
He has a very wild imagination, which is really cool. So the vote ended 57 to 43 in favor of spaceships.
Yeah, that's about right.
Return to kites, remove aircraft. I mean, I like aircraft too. It's just like, I don't know. I grew up, I'm a sci-fi nerd. I grew up watching Star Trek and Star Wars and stuff, and I just like spaceships more. What's my opinion on
my
Genesis Simone Rock?
Is a Stargate reference. So
right. Should I watch that? I've never watched Stargate.
Do you like The Next Generation?
Love it. My favorite Star Trek.
Do you like the original X-Files?
I couldn't really get into it, but I think I would like it if I watched it. I never really tried to get into it.
Yeah. You probably like Stargate. As long as you don't mind that the early seasons are like pretty low budget. Like,
yeah, that was my fear.
it's the same era as TNG. They just didn't have as much of a budget.
Yeah.
And they weren't as experienced of a crew. But it's pretty good.
Okay. Yeah, I'll give it a shot. I just I've been reading The Fall of Hyperion. Have you ever read Hyperion? Are you into sci-fi literature, or is it just Three Body Problem?
I haven't read Hyperion.
Have you heard of it?
No. I don't read
Probably my favorite read of the past year, and that includes the Three Body Problem trilogy. It's a beautifully written book, and I think even people who don't like science fiction would really like it, because it's not just science fiction. It's do you know the Canterbury Tales?
Yeah.
So chat, the Canterbury Tales, basically a bunch of different tales from the perspective of different pilgrims on a pilgrimage to somewhere or whatever, right? Hyperion is got a similar structure where there are 6 different tales told by 6 different pilgrims on their way to this planet called Hyperion, where there's this legendary creature called the Shrike, and each one is kind of like a different story. The first one is the priest's tale. It's kind of like a horror type thing. The second one is the soldier's tale. It's kind of like your standard space opera, space battles type stuff. The third one is the scholar's tale, which is my favorite and most people consider is the best one. And it's about a father and his daughter, and it's very, very sad. It is a beautiful, beautiful piece, and I would recommend reading the book, if for nothing else, for the scholar's tale. It's fantastic. The third one was the poet's tale. The fourth one is the scholar's tale. Third one, the poet's tale, is about the poet's life. It's basically, he's a writer, he's a poet, and you sort of see him through his very long life, everything that's happened to him. It's interesting. The fifth one is the who is it? The detective's tale. It's kind of like a noir cyberpunk kind of detective story. And then the last one is the consul's tale, which is, it's a love story. It's a romance between 2 characters, and one of them ages and the other one doesn't. Effectively, that's like the thing that makes it interesting. So without giving away like what happens, it's a beautiful book, and I would highly recommend it to anyone who's interested in sci-fi. If you're not interested in sci-fi, I think you would still like it. I'm almost done with the second book, and it's part of a 4-book series. The first and second book were actually written as one book, but the publishers told the author to break it up into 2 books. So the first book is universally celebrated as like one of the best pieces of science fiction ever written. The second book, people are generally split on, but think that it's still good. And it's a conclusion to the story in the first book. So I don't know exactly how it ends yet, but I've enjoyed the second book so far, but it's not quite as good as the first one. And then the third and the fourth book are supposed to be pretty bad, so I'm not going to read those. And supposedly they're more of like a separate story. It's like they take place... I read a comment yesterday. Someone basically said, treat the first 2 books as like a duology, and then the second 2 books as another duology.
Okay.
So I recommend it.
Are the later ones in the same like Canterbury Tales format?
No, only the first one is. The second one is a standard sort of narrative.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Take a look at AI
Yeah,
Polandball.
I'll definitely check that out. Let me see if it's on my
Yeah, and then after
audiobooks app.
I'll probably finish it within like the next week, Fall of Hyperion, and then next on my list is Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir. Have you read that?
Yes, that one's great.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've never read any of
Andy
his
Weir's...
stuff, but I watched The Martian and I liked it. I'll probably read The Martian at some point.
Yeah, they're both really good. The Martian is fantastic. I really like basically just engineers who write sci-fi. That's my favorite kind of sci-fi.
Yeah, Cixin Liu, there you go. Makes sense.
And Cixin Liu, they're both engineers. And so, like, it's always super technical. Characters, not the best.
Yeah.
More so for Cixin Liu than Andy Weir. He's a good character writer, but...
Yeah.
I think Cixin Liu is a computer science
Yeah, something
guy.
like that.
He wrote a really good... He writes a bunch of short stories, too, which are all really good. I like them a lot. But there's like one of them where there's a fictional version of himself as just like a kind of sad, poor, failed sci-fi writer, like alcoholic, like destroys the world by turning like an AI loose, basically on accident. But it's pretty funny.
I've also got
A lot of the
Children of Time by Adrian Tchaikovsky.
I've been meaning to read that because people always say you should read that after Three Body Problem.
Oh, really? Okay, maybe I should read that next
Yeah.
then. Poland won revenge on Germany and Russia.
I did all of
True.
the
Well, Russia. anyway.
Hitchhiker's Guide books.
I have
too
not,
long
no.
ago.
I should probably read them.
They're really good.
Have I read No Mouth and I Must Scream? I have not,
Absolutely
no.
hilarious.
Sinister
Plenty of laugh out loud
Sri
moments.
Your opinion, the shuttle held NASA back. If NASA didn't have space,
But they do
space
get
shuttle
worse
engineering, we would be in Mars in the 90s.
as
I
you
agree.
go. The first two are by far the best.
Who makes the best synthwave music? Yeah, that's what I've heard. The Midnight is good synthwave to start with. Really good stuff. Radioactive Potato, you chat, you're waiting for me to review your drawing? Did you put it in Discord? Is PNN going to cover the landslide in Papua New Guinea? Yes. FM Roman, you love Hitchhiker's Guide, but you're right, they do get less funny as they go on. Yeah, FM Roman said he agreed that they get less funny as they go on. I've heard that it's the first two that are sort of make it.
Yeah, there's a few funny moments later on, like Marvin the depressed robot. He gets like basically sent back in time or something, and he waits for like billions of years for whoever to come back, and then they do, and he's all like pissed off and everything, and then they do it to him again immediately. That was pretty funny.
I unfortunately don't know the story, so I'll have to read it.
The
It's a
story
short
really
read, isn't
doesn't
it?
matter. Yeah, they're short.
Okay. I'll get to it at some point.
Was this a comic from somebody on stream?
Sorry?
Was that a comic from somebody on stream that you were reviewing? Or something?
No, these are my old comics. I was looking for the right colors for flags.
You used to do dots on the U.S. flag?
Early Polandball was Wild West, man. We didn't have
Yeah.
rules.
Some of those comics like are absolutely hilarious, but then I look at the art and I'm like, wow. I mean, they still made some of the best comics ever, but man, they just don't look that good.
Yeah, the early art is rough. Like, go look at early Aaron and Dick Rhino and my stuff, and it's bad.
Early Aaron is pretty bad.
Yep.
My early comics are god awful. It was literally the first that I've ever drawn. I never drew even as a kid. I hated it.
Really?
So I have no ability to draw anything, and I was using a trackpad for like
Oh,
my
wow.
first
Yeah, that's...
5 or 6 comics. It's rough.
Drawing Estonia. Do a dark gray instead of black.
I like how all of the Eastern European countries, like the Baltic states and Poland, have just become like bulldogs. It's quite funny to me. Like, good for them. But I mean, they know what they know what's going to happen. So they're basically just emulating Finland, I guess. But
Yeah, I mean, so this is actually interesting from a historical and political perspective. So the EU expanded to include all the former, or most of the former Eastern Bloc countries in 2004, and then later 2007, and everyone was sort of wondering how these countries would sort of vote in the various EU institutions. Like how their governments would vote, how their members of European Parliament would vote, their ministers and the Council of Ministers, right? And people wondered, like, are they going to form like their own voting bloc within the EU? And that didn't happen. What happened was that generally they fell into existing sort of voting blocs. Historically, the EU sort of had two kind of different blocks. One was sort of like more Northern Europe, sort of Germany and the Nordic states, and countries that were, you know, more sort of integrated with the German economy. And then you had like the more agrarian Southern European states that sort of fell more in line with France. So like Spain, Greece, Italy, Portugal tended to be a little bit more French, I guess, in their thinking. And those were sort of the two. They weren't like hard blocks, mind you. They were very amorphous, but generally, like, there were different sort of groupings of how these countries sort of pursued policies in the EU. And the Eastern European states sort of fell into those existing frameworks, except for on one issue, and that was on Russia. For either the past 2 decades, Poland in particular, but the Baltic states and Poland and some of the other former Eastern Bloc states, Czech Republic, Slovakia, Hungary, whatever, they had all sort of been screaming about how, like, you cannot trust Russia. Germany, don't build Nord Stream. Stop integrating your economies with Russia. You can't trust them. They still have this imperial mindset. And they were right. They've been vindicated, you know, through history, but you know, the Germans and the French and the Dutch and the Nordics didn't really listen to them. Finland was like the only state that sort of took them seriously, but I think even up until the invasion of Ukraine, Finland didn't quite take the threat of Russia as seriously as they do now, right? Because they would have joined NATO in the 90s if they did, but didn't.
Right, yeah. Yeah, when the Soviet Union fell, Finland, like, took a sigh of relief and sort of figured that they were fine from now on.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the Baltics weren't so far removed and had more of an issue with Russia than they did the Soviet Union. So
yeah,
Russia was still around, but, you know, it didn't matter.
I'm going to cheat copy paste here. We're going to turn this into Lithuania.
Is Poland like the... What are the biggest economies? It's Germany #1, and then I assume France and Italy is a close second and third, or like close to each other but not close to Germany.
Germany is the largest economy in the EU, and then France. There's like something of a gap there, and then there's a gap between France and Italy, and then there's a gap between Italy and Spain, and then I believe it's the Netherlands, and then Poland.
Okay, they're mostly agricultural stuff. Or they're not mostly agriculture, but they have a large agricultural
It's just less
industry.
developed.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can find a list. It's Germany, then France. Yeah, so like there's a pretty big gap between France and Germany, and then another gap, pretty large gap between France and Italy. Italy and Spain, there's a pretty large gap. Netherlands isn't that far behind Spain. Yeah, and then Poland. Poland is pretty close to Spain. Poland's closing in on $1 trillion GDP. We're at 844 billion.
Good for them. I don't know what that means.
Best part from I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream is the hate monologue. Harlan Ellison
I'm sure it's good.
I'll have to look it up.
I don't know how good.
The drone wall is menacing.
Isn't like even Germany on a GDP per capita basis poorer than Mississippi?
Yeah, most European states are.
It's just completely different way of living, though, because they don't. Well, I mean, I guess their quality of life isn't any lower. It's just a different way of their economy functioning. Because America runs on so much debt, it hypes up our
it's
numbers.
Yeah, so there's a couple of like key differences. One is like the U.S. already had a better starting point than most of Europe because most of Europe was destroyed in the Second World War, right?
Yeah.
And the U.S. wasn't, and that we just had a high baseline, and sort of by virtue of being an immigrant country and being the keystone of the international order, we benefit from immigration more than like any other state on the planet. Germany and Canada do pretty well, but they're just much smaller countries. And the U.S. really, really rewards people who are innovative. And so, like, wealth and income inequality are much worse in the United States than basically any other developed nation. But if you make it in the United States, you'll be rewarded more greatly here than in any other developed nation. I'm not saying that's necessarily a good thing. It's just the way it is. Like, it is better to be a billionaire in the United States than in any other country on the planet. It just is. So the U.S. rewards innovation and risk-taking and entrepreneurship better than most other developed countries, but it's at the expense of, a social safety net. Like, we don't have an expansive social safety net. So I've told chat this before, but generally, like, for most people, the average person, the median person, you probably live a better life in Europe than you would in the United States, because Europe is more generous with their social safety nets than the U.S. is. But if you somehow, create a product or a service that a lot of people like and use, and you get rewarded for it, you would rather live in the United States than in Europe.
Yeah, I'm naturally lazy, and so I think I would benefit greatly from living in Europe.
Yeah, me too.
With just guaranteed healthcare and just kind of sit around and do not much. That's my idea of what they get to do. But
And they just sit and drink
some of
coffee,
them,
wine,
not
and
the
eat
German.
cheese all day.
yeah, I very much identify with the Southern European style of living.
Yeah, I'm
just
going
kind of relax.
to Greece and Italy in September and October, so I'm
Oh, that's gonna be nice.
just gonna eat and drink for 2 weeks.
That's wonderful. Yeah, I went to Malta. Malta is very nice. It's like Italy, but more laid back. If that even if
A
you can
more
even wrap
laid
your
back
head
version of
around that.
Italy.
Yeah,
That's funny. Yeah, I've never been to Malta.
yeah, it's definitely worth it. It's like it's like as close to the Arab world as you can get without going to the Arab world. Because
Yep.
there's a ton of architecture, and then their language is like this weird mix of English, Arabic, and Italian. So it's quite funny. And then there's a lot of people who just look Arabic. But it's almost all Catholic. Just because of the changeover of empires that happened to it so many times. And
Yep.
and they also asked to become, like, England basically kicked them out of being a crown dependency.
Really?
Yeah, they had a referendum because the UK was talking about getting rid of them, and they had a referendum. It was like, hey, we want to be a crown dependency of the UK. We don't want anything more from you. Just we don't want to be like an independent nation. And the UK was just like, nah, we don't want you. It's quite funny.
Drinking at 11 a.m. sounds wonderful. True.
Kept Gibraltar though. I think Gibraltar is very pro UK though.
Yeah, I believe it's an integral part of the UK, isn't it? It's not like a crown dependency or one of those weird overseas territories or something.
I think it's a crown dependency.
Oh yeah, it is. It's a British overseas territory. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, that all confused me. I made a video about it, and I don't even remember what all the different categories are. I know a lot of them are just part of the crown, and then people get really pedantic because, like, functionally they're just part of the UK.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're on the crown, whatever. But push comes to shove, it's part of the UK. I think they can travel visa free. They get a British passport. They get any of the social services that a normal British citizen would get. If they move to the it's like Puerto Rico, I guess, but even more. It's like halfway between Puerto Rico and Hawaii.
Yeah.
The way that most of them work.
Oh, that makes sense. Fixing my balls. My balls are not looking good tonight.
Somebody's talking about XKCD in chat. You read XKCD?
I don't like regularly read it, but I like it.
Yeah.
FM Roman. New York City sounds romantic. You really want to go someday? I mean, New York City is cool. I wouldn't say it's romantic. It's just like, it's your stereotypical city, I think, big city. You see Times Square only once, you're fine with that? Yeah, Times Square is garbage. You don't ever need to go there. I mean, like, if I was visiting New York City from out of the United States, I would want to see Times Square just to say I've seen it, you know? But it's... Don't spend more than, like, 3 seconds there.
Same with Hollywood Boulevard. It's awful.
Yeah.
There's
Eyes for Finland.
a lot of the famous streets elsewhere in the country can be good. Beale Street's good.
Where's that?
Beale Street's in Memphis.
I've not
and
been
then-
to Tennessee.
The one in Nashville's also pretty good. I forget what it's called. Broadway? Broadway in Nashville. And then, what other ones are there? There's a bunch of them. Austin has one. 6th Street is, I think, the one in Austin.
Bourbon Street.
That
in
one
New Orleans.
used to be good.
Have you been to New
Was
Orleans?
Beale Street? Which one?
New Orleans?
Yeah. But is that Beale Street? I
No,
get
no,
that
it's
mixed up
Bourbon
with
Street.
Memphis. Bourbon Street, yeah. I've never been to New Orleans, but
I would like to go at some point.
I want the food. I love crawfish.
Prussian media wants to know who trapped Gay Nerd in the basement. Dick Rhino forces all of us to just live in the basement. Like, he put us all in a house, and he threw away the key. We're just locked in here. Aaron's in the basement most of the time. He has a little dog bowl to eat out of, and a little cot.
Yeah. Dick Rhino puts poutine in his dog bowl every once in a while.
I don't like these eyes.
Yeah, Aaron gets plenty of walks. Don't worry about him. He's well exercised. I slept on a concrete floor once. CH. I was a friend and I, or one friend and then a couple of acquaintances went hiking in China one time. There's this mountain where people climb up to go see the sunrise, and so you start climbing at like 9 p.m. and then you get to the top around sunrise, which is just awful because it's not super well lit. I'm gonna look up how tall it is, but we were told that it was going to be like a 3-hour hike or something, and there was a hotel room at the top. Well, the peak is like over 2,000 meters, so we climbed that starting at 9 p.m. and it took us until like 4 a.m. When we reached the top, at which point all of the hotels were full and closed, so you couldn't do anything. And so I fell asleep just on the concrete ground at the top of the mountain, and could not feel my legs after a while. Some Chinese guys came out of their hotel to have a smoke and saw me and my friends all laying down and carried, well, they didn't carry, but they like rushed us into their hotel room and pushed us into the beds. We're like, telling us, you've got to get in here, you're gonna die. So we slept for like 2 hours until the sun was about to come up, and it was really cloudy, so there was no sunrise. It was awful. Yeah, they were really nice, but they'd been chain smoking in their bed like all night. I was most confused by why they'd come out to smoke, because it was clear from the odor and ashes everywhere that they'd just been smoking all night anyway. I'm not a smoker, but it was still better than sleeping outside, so it was worth it.
I have slept outside before, like without a tent, in just like a sleeping bag and a pad or whatever, and it's not great being exposed to the elements like that.
No.
Chosen Ball, why am I Kirby? Stream avatars. It's something I would like to incorporate for chat at some point, but I need Dick Rhino's permission, essentially, to do it.
I'm not stoned. I don't know about Cold Light.
No. I'm hungry, though. Is weed legal in Missouri?
Yep.
Was that by popular referendum or the legislature that did it?
It was by popular referendum. The legislature thought that they could get away with doing it, and like nobody would vote for it, but it got an overwhelming amount of support. I think it passed like 60-40 in Missouri.
Interesting.
Yeah, Kansas did the same thing when they when Roe v. Wade was repealed. They wanted to really quickly ban abortions like all those other states did, but they chose to do it via popular referendum.
Right,
and
I remember.
Kansas voted like wildly in favor of keeping it around, and so they screwed themselves over because they put it. It was a referendum over whether or not to put it into the constitution of the state, and so it basically got put into the Kansas Constitution that it's legal. So there's really not anything that they can do about it.
Nice.
Yeah. So right now, Missourians like flock over the Kansas border to get abortions, and Kansans flock over the Missouri border to get legal weed. So it's a fun little thing they got going on there.
Right. Yeah, in New York, when former Governor Andrew Cuomo was in a lot of political trouble because a lot of former staffers claimed sexual harassment, he he came out with his plan to legalize weed as like a break glass in case of emergency type thing. Like he kept legal weed in his back pocket until he needed it politically.
That's great.
The legislature, I think, passed it a couple of years ago, like 5 years ago. Mm-hmm. No, like 3 years ago. It's relatively recent.
That's about when Missouri got it. I saw some video about like I don't know what the point of the video was, but they were just talking about the Electoral College and about how the Democrats need to turn Texas and Missouri. And like when they were talking about Texas, I was like, okay, yeah, I kind of think Texas has the potential. And then they brought up Missouri, and I was like, you don't know what you're talking about.
No, I don't think Missouri is going to be in play for decades, if ever.
No, it's really not feasible. There's some issues that, like weed, sure, because you're not going to get people riled up about that, but there are a lot of Republicans in Missouri that get riled up about some of the party platforms. So there's no way it's going to happen. Texas has a potential, but only because of the flood of West Coast people that's moving in.
Yeah.
And then if the Democrats can better get more of the Latino vote in Texas, then they have a chance. But other than that, not really.
Yeah, I don't think Texas is going blue anytime soon. I think it's probably a couple more cycles away, if ever. I think it's possible that Colin Allred, the current Democratic Senate candidate, I think it's possible he could win against Ted Cruz because no one likes Ted Cruz, and Ted Cruz barely won re-election 6 years ago. But yeah, like Manny said, Texas is not turning blue. Yeah, it's not gonna go blue this cycle, barring some major event, you know.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, I don't know, I think they'd have enough people going for Trump to vote for Trump if it came down to it. Because I guess that's going to be the nomination for the Republicans. So that I don't think there's any state that would vote for a Republican but not vote for Trump. Maybe there is one, but
No,
I don't know.
they would all vote Trump.
Is it just the hardline Republicans of old that don't like him? Everybody else thinks he's good.
Yeah, it's the Republican elites don't like him because they think he's boorish, you know? They don't like that he's so, unsophisticated in the way that they would probably put it, but, the voters love him, so...
Yeah, I don't think I've talked to anybody who's pro-Trump.
They're out there.
I don't seek those conversations out, though, so I see them around, I'm sure, but I don't have any interest in talking about their political beliefs.
Yeah. You don't need to. I mean, they make it known, you know? They're loud as fucking hell.
Yeah.
It's they never shut up, which is, the irony in the, their obsession with being victimized, or pretending that they're being victimized, or canceled, or that, they're losing their free speech or whatever. It's these people never fucking shut up. All they ever do is complain about people that they don't like, right? It's and it's never about policy either. It's literally just things that they don't like, you know,
Yep.
that exist, women or gay people or abortion or trans people, right? It's why do these things even bother you? Just let people live. I should add Sweden.
Yeah.
It's only these 6
Everything's
countries
just
in the,
an agenda.
in the north.
They can't define
sorry.
what that agenda is, but they'll go on and on about how there's some agenda that's hurting them or something. Great fun.
It's super stupid.
How do you have the NATO drones made? Is each row its own layer?
So I made 3 separate balls, and then I copied them several times, and I made it one row, and then I duplicated the row, and I kept adding them behind each other in different layers. Yeah.
They're in different layers?
Yes.
You could animate or get that animated in DaVinci pretty well so that you could have them kind of buzzing back and forth all
Oh,
the
yeah,
layers,
you're right, I
independent
could.
of each other. That would be pretty funny.
That's all right. It's literally going to be one panel for the story, you know, one of the few panels.
Yeah.
Prussian media, when you were living in Scotland, you had a large basement fully made of concrete, no furniture, and one time your brother locked you in there. That sucks. Frog, you're from rural PA. Most of your conservative friends like Trump in 2016, some like him in 2020, and most of your conservative friends aren't a fan of Trump anymore. Yeah, I mean, I think... I don't know. I mean, I think a lot of people sort of realize, like, he's kind of dumb. You know? Kind of is doing a lot of heavy lifting there. He might be, like, you know, representative of their beliefs. But I think a lot of people recognize, like, the man is not smart. But to them, it doesn't matter. You know, it's like, do they not like him, or they find him boorish or dumb enough to vote for Joe Biden? I don't know.
Today's video is still going pretty well.
Is it? I haven't looked at it since the start of stream.
Slowing down, but
6.3K in 4.5 hours, almost 5 hours. That's the best we've ever had. 29 subs already. Like, if this pops off, like if it spikes, then this is probably a couple tens of thousands of views, honestly.
oh yeah. Unfortunately, Old Habits Die Hard has hit another plateau.
Yeah, but the
there's a
fact
good
that it
chance
spiked
it'll-
even twice was pretty good, several days apart.
Yeah.
Wikipedia drastically changed the colors of the
YouTube's
Norwegian flag. I'll have to
Shorts
get it.
algorithm is completely different from TikTok's, because if that sort of behavior that all of our videos have, where they get bumps later, it does not happen on TikTok, which is confusing.
Oh, well, it's... Oh, okay, I can't change Norway, okay. Yeah, the colors are slightly different. Okay, cool. I think this is pretty menacing. I don't know, maybe you need like a crack of lightning in front of them. What do you think?
I think it's good. Yeah. There's plenty menacing, I think.
Oh, what I could have like the lightning just like show up, you know, like a lightning strike. Go back to the normal panel.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do that.
Yeah, especially with like a sound effect, that would be really cool.
Yeah. It's kind of hard to do. Let's see. What's cartoon lightning look like? What colors it has to be? It's like bluish white, right?
Yeah, bluish or yellowish white. I guess- Maybe I haven't seen yellowish. I don't know. Bluish for sure. Yes. Good.
There'll have to be like a flash of light behind it. This looks pretty cool. I like this.
Yeah, I think that looks great.
So this will be the main one.
Russian media? Oh. Russian media, I don't think that Russia tried to sell Alaska to Liechtenstein. I'm not 100% sure, but I don't think so. I think... Did they? And look it up.
Okay, I really like how this turned out. So it's going to be, for chat, one of the bits that we're going to do in the next episode of Polandball News is about this drone wall that 6 NATO states have agreed to build. And so that's why they're all those little NATO drones. Those 6 states are the 3 Baltic states, Poland, Norway, and Finland. And this will be like the main image, and then we'll have like the lightning flash. It'll do like a lightning crack, and then go back to the normal panel. So that'll be a fun little effect that we'll have. This looks pretty good. I think I'm going to end stream there. Gaynard, is there anything you want to end on? Tell chat.
No, I'm good. Thanks for having me.
All right, cool. Thank you guys for joining today. Drop a like on the stream if you haven't done so already. Go like our other videos. Go check out all the other shorts and videos that we've posted in the past couple of days. We'll have another short featuring Finland tomorrow, based on another Aaron comic. Be sure to keep an eye out for that. Probably post it, I don't know, 2 p.m., 3 p.m. Eastern time? I don't know. But thanks again, guys, for joining, and we will probably see you tomorrow. Enjoy the rest of your week. See ya.
See you, everybody.